All right. Um, Now, what I want to break down is the Emerald tablets, especially since everyone's still obsessed with the cultural covering of Egypt. Because I don't even know if people are really getting into what these people really were about. Now, of course, we have the Gnostics, who we some people may not be familiar with their philosophy, but basically the Gnostic goal is liberation back to the origin. That's basically what it is. Um, that's cool. But a lot of people, even though they might not be too well versed in Gnosticism, at least we do know about Thoth, or who's called Hermes, or whatever you want to call him. Basically, the ancient Egyptian sage who wrote the Emerald tablets, or who transmitted the Emerald tablets. So the big question is, what are the Emerald tablets about? Because I haven't heard anybody really break this down. Um, I heard a couple brothers on the radio talk show talking about it, but no one knows what it's about because, again, it's very subtle, and you got to know what you're looking for. And you have to understand what the sage way is. And this is what I always talk about because nobody's really bringing this perspective. I see it fit to bring it because basically, if you would just get this point, especially the conscious community, if you claim to be so about Egyptian science, at the core, or here you would consider one of the prime sages of Egypt, Thoth, writer of the Emerald Tablets, then you should try to figure out what he's talking about. And I know it's cryptic, but you still want to, get some kind of grasp on, well, what is the Emerald Tablets about? Because everyone talks about those, and they're only what, 14 lines? Yeah, 14 lines. So that's it. And up to date, nobody's really broken this down. So I'm gonna decode this for you for the first time. Because remember, this is the key, really. I think these, matter of fact, the Emerald Tablets are said to go back to Lemuria or Atlantis. So now I'm really gonna reveal the secret because nobody knows what the Emerald Tablets are about. I guarantee you don't know what it's about. Guaranteed. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, just to get you to see how intellectualism will throw you off the path. Because if people would just look at the Emerald Tablets, what they know what they were doing. If they knew what real alchemy was, see, I mean, this is really, this is a mess because, look, we go too far, and that's basically what I'm saying. Because this is 14 lines. And remember, this is supposedly, and I can believe it. It goes back further than Egypt, but it goes back to Atlantis and Lemuria. So this practice that I'm talking about here is not something, because when we think Atlantis and Lemuria and stuff, we always think of, oh, they had black crystals and the ankh, you hit it on the ground and electromagnetic make everybody. It's like we still got this childish attitude. It's like you get to, and I'm sure they had. See, they did have a lot of technology, and a lot of those, some of the ETs and psychics, and they say that's why they fell too, because they started messing with the physical technology too much, or using it for warfare, using it to control people. Because even back then, you had the power hungry people, and so it still was the same as not. We won't, don't romanticize, even Lemuria, because it's pretty much the same, man. Man has been man. I mean, so we can't try to romanticize it, and that's another reason why we're not getting this practice too. Because when you romanticize, it's kind of like you're worshiping. Then you start, studying. I mean, it's like you have this point of view on it where what you need to extrapolate is the principles and mainly the practices, if you could decipher. Because I know I heard some guys talk about the emerald tablets and they don't know what it's. But it's like we're just talking, and I'm here to break this down and decode this to you for the first time. Even all you Kemet guys, I know you don't know what the emerald tablets were about. Like I know it because nobody's talking about it. So, and it goes back to what I'm always, transmitting here. It's all about the vital breath. That's it. But you don't know what the vital breath is because you still think you're supposed to be here and breathe oxygen. See, that you don't have the right mindset of a truly wise person. Like, don't even say you're conscious for real. Like, because you're not even conscious yet. Like, and I'm just putting people to a challenge, just to challenge your intellect, spirit, or whatever. You're not finished. Like, you're not necessarily even on the right path. Because I guarantee you, the path you're on is the same path that everybody else is on. And I'm talking about everybody you think is, sleeping out here. Y'all on the same path. Because you know, you get strung along. You get strung along. I mean, it's unfortunate because I know our society too. A lot of it has to do with our society. Because a lot of guys in the East, when they become so-called conscious, they go to the temples or whatever, and it's under the shroud or the veil of religion sometimes. But at least what they do get is true practice. So, but we don't have that here. We just get mad and bang on Christianity and shit all day. When even if you really start practicing, you'll realize actually the core of Christianity, like I say, is actually pertinent to the conscious path. You just gotta know what you're looking at. So I'm gonna break this down, and there's a translator slash commentator who I'll also review these lines with because basically he was a Sufi. So he studied Sufism. Let me. He was a French guy who actually studied the wisdom traditions. Because remember this basically Thoth or Tahuti was I believe it was Thoth. It was Thoth, but he was basically he was a sage. And what is a sage? Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, basically, if you're conscious, a sage is just somebody with a deep, expanded, I mean, like really expanded consciousness. Um, so, but actually very deep because it connects back to the basically 0 point. 0 point is a form of consciousness. It's not just like the scientists, if you kind of take a Western approach, it sounds like, oh, 0 point. It sounds real smart and it's cool, but no, we're talking about it's wisdom. They call it, even Buddha calls it wisdom. That's deep. He doesn't even say, see, because they know that energy is wiser, is real wisdom, and is wiser than this creation. We don't need to go into that now, but this is straight wisdom, the 0 point, as the blind scientists call it. But because the scientists don't know how to connect themselves with it. They're using machinery and everything. Like they're really blind. They don't know that their own consciousness is essentially rooted in this field too. They don't know that. That's the arrogance. But see, we don't know that either, or at least the conscious people. And especially if you're gonna study Egypt, you gotta know that off the bat. Like that's all those priests were doing. Like the real ones, the serious ones. I mean, the real priests weren't painting on the walls and stuff. They just had artisans do that. That's keep them busy. But the real priests, they were all about raising, deepening, and liberating consciousness. So the Emerald Tablets, again, just 14 lines. It starts off truth, certainty, that in which there is no doubt. So basically, This is the truth. This is it, and there's no doubt about this. And remember, these go back to Lemuria, um, very ancient. And like some of the works I reference, they always say the ancients, the ancients. So who are the ancients? So we're talking about the Moors, and okay, so what did they do? What did they practice? So basically, he just starts off like, this is it. This is the way. This is timeless, and it's nothing like well, it was, but now we got iPhone 6 and shit, so we don't really need that. We just got to make this good because I think no, nah, trust me, when you learn this, you don't even care about that stuff. Like you'll realize like what they were talking about. Like come on. So it ain't nothing like nothing changed. Like we're not in a better world, especially when you realize nobody's because this science is internal and not just physically, it's consciously internal, which the Western science is not even like, come on, haven't even started, and that's why society is so crazy. Like it's really crazy, like But anyway, he starts off basically proclaiming how great this is. This is it. This is the truth, and this is basically what I've been breaking down to you, talking about the breathing. So he says, second line, that which is above is from that which is below. See, everybody knows this one. I mean, you come on. Every conscious head around, as above, so below. As above, it's like, all right, all right. But see, do you really know what that means? And specifically, that's only line 2. That's not the middle of it. Remember, like the middle of the movie is when it gets good. So we stuck on line 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, come on. And that which is below is from that which is above, working the miracles of one. So that's correspondence. Everybody knows that, as above, so below, and you know, so even with metaphysics, law of attraction, as within, so without. So we talk this shit, like, what I'm saying? Like, okay, yeah, okay, you understand it intellectually, but okay. So it says, as all things were from one. And to be truthful about it, the one they're talking about is the origin. And why even talk about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, why even discuss that? So let me basically, we know, let that which above is like that which is below. So the guy Burkhardt in his commentary is talking about how this refers to the reciprocal dependence of the active and the passive. So essential form cannot be manifested without passive materia. The efficacy of the spiritual power depends on the preparedness of the human container and vice versa. See, he just basically explained the big principle of the way they call it. Basically, non-resistance. So the efficacy of the spiritual power depends on the preparedness of the human container and vice versa. So it works both ways. So above and below are thus related to this one thing and complement one another in its regard. See, y'all didn't hear what he just said. See, because everybody see as above, so below. But why? Like, in what context? Why does this? See, this is what I'm trying to stress here. See, you got to get past this intellectual level where you think, yeah, like, oh, I get those principles. I understand. As above, so below. I'll live my life by that maxim. Like, what? Nah, man. Like, you come on. This is sage way. Like, you're not a sage yet. So how come, or do you think you are a damn sage? Now, people do too. So that's why you change your name and shit. It's Kali Yuga, man. But because we know, he said this refers to the reciprocal dependence of the active and passive, referring to as above, so below. But even that might be over niggas' heads, like, but essential form cannot be manifested without passive inertia. How things, play off each other. Two, it's not, so he's breaking it down even further. But the key here, he says the efficacy of the spiritual power. And this is where we get in the primordial chi, if you want to call it. But he said the efficacy of the spiritual power depends on the preparedness of the human container and vice versa. Like, what the hell's that got to do with as above, so below? See what I'm see? He's already come on, follow me here. He's telling you like this principle. I'm talking all, as above, so below. I don't just mean like above your head and in a microscope, or even the thoughts you think are appear on the external, whatever projection. And okay, everybody knows that, and now we think we're really smart, you know. But what does this have to do with the spiritual power, in human container? So line 3 again, he says, as all things were from one. So Burkhardt breaks it down here. The undivided, invisible light of the unconditioned one is refracted into multiplicity by the prism of the spirit. A scholar, so that's what it is. That's what it is with him. So the undivided, invisible light, see, of the unconditioned one, that goes back to the inner teachings of Tao, how they talk about this unconditioned. See, I'm doing some correspondence here because you gotta. This is the same stuff. This is why you can't get caught up in thinking the cultural, thinking it's cultural when we go to the East. No, it's not cultural. Where'd they get that stuff from? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, see, in school, you might think like your professor, like, oh, this came out of this country. Nah, we know hell had all the science on this, the deep science on this planet was planted by melanin dominant sages, basically. I'm talking about the spiritual science. So he says, as the spirit contemplates the unity, this is the commentator, as the spirit contemplates the unity without full comprehension, it manifests the many-sided all, just as lens transmits the light it receives as a bundle of rays. Yeah, okay, you get that, right? So, damn, that is pretty good, though. So basically he's saying, as the spirit contemplates the unity without full comprehension, it manifests the many-sided all. That's deep. Basically, he's talking about the creation. Basically, how it's like a kind of a split, a dissection. That's deep. Because basically, it's I would call it's a negation. It's in a sense it is negative. It tries to fragment the original one. Because he says without full comprehension this happened. So line 4 in the tablet says, its father is the sun and its mother the moon. And he breaks it down as sun is the spirit. See, because remember this is the alchemical text, by the way, So, but what is alchemy? And I know a lot of people think, probably still think, alchemy is about these certain minerals and heating them in a oven and taking it, living forever. People really still think that. That's how just externally based we become. That's how we, fell deeper into this world too, thinking like that. So, and that's not just, the Western man per se, but the sun is the spirit because he says its father is the sun and its mother the moon. Sun is the spirit while the moon is the soul, psyche. So that's that's the metaphor. Line 5 says, the earth carried it in her belly, and the wind nourished it in her belly. See, this is the key. Remember, I was talking about embryonic breathing and the vital breath. Embryonic breathing is the vital breath. This is the middle of the tablet, basically. It says, the earth carried it in her belly, and the wind nourished it in her belly. So Burkhardt breaks it down. Remember, he studies with the Sufis who actually get into this vital breath too, because they know about it. Not the Muslims, but the Sufis, the inner Sufis too, because you still got, they know about it. So Burkhardt says the wind which carries the spiritual germ in its body is the vital breath. See, this is what you gotta learn. Now, some people may have came across this, but no, nah, you didn't catch it. Because this shit is too cryptic for most people. I know it is. Like, don't front like you really get it. Because he's making, the father is the sun, the mother the moon. Like, what does that mean? Like, and most people will probably just, yeah, my pop's the sun, mom's the moon. It's like, yeah, I mean, come on, come on. Like, see, that's not for those. This is not for those type of people. Like, you have to be all about straight wisdom and metaphysics to get this stuff. Not emotional minded. You can't, no, nah, because they're making metaphors and they use natural symbols to make metaphors for things that actually within spiritual consciousness. So they're not even. He's not worshiping the sun and the moon. Like even some people want to start doing that, like with this sun gazing, and I'm not saying sun gazing. This is deep ass science. Deep ass science. Dude, this is dude who sun gazes. He's in India. Shit, he drink. He don't eat nothing. He just drink tea and sun gaze. But his energy is on swole, like for real. But that's not necessarily spiritual enlightenment. But it is real. It's just a practice of Maya, basically. It's a practice within the illusion, but it's real. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that because when he says the sun and the moon, he's not talking about that. See, because he's taking the sage way. He's praising the one, the undifferentiated reality. He starts off like that because see, that's what they're all about. See, that's consciousness, like for a certain grade of people, like for the people who really, because that's the 0 point consciousness. So when he says the earth carried it in her belly and the wind nourished it in her belly, he's talking about the vital breath, as Burckhardt stated. See, I've been telling you the vital breath. It's about the embryonic breath. He goes on, vital breath is the substance of the realm between heaven and earth. So that's the as above, so below. That's why they're always saying that. See, they're making a metaphor because the earth, he goes on, the earth is the body as an inward reality. See? So I know a lot of you guys probably read over the tablets like, what? You didn't get it. And I'm not, saying you was a fool. I'm just saying, check it out though. Like, look again. See, the earth carried it in her belly, which is the body. You have a belly, and the wind nourished it in her belly. That's the inner breath. That's this vital breath I keep telling you about, because basically, you have no clue how profound that is till you do it. Because, with the normal breath, that's why a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people don't, I mean, you're not going nowhere with that nose breathing and mouth breathing that, you try some breathing classes. Nah, that's not it. And there's always going to be, like, what you would call, I guess, charlatans. In reference to the real practice, there will be charlatans who teach that because they don't know. Because, again, because you think you're supposed to be here breathing oxygen. But, yeah, if you do, if that's how you think. But the sages know, nah, I'm hooking myself back up to the one. So, they're wise enough to know consciousness and breath are one. So, by reversing the breathing back, along the path of, to the embryo, and even before you were an embryo, that's back to 0 point. They not waiting on Jesus. So the earth is the body as an inward reality. So again, he says the vital breath is the substance of the realm between heaven and earth. That's pretty much the key. So what do you say here? So basically, this website has a couple translations. This translation here skips on to line 7 actually, which says, "As earth, which shall become fire." Remember, earth is the body, and the fire is that primordial fire, which is generated through embryonic breathing. See, this stuff is real. I'm telling you how easy it is, and I'm telling you how real, not just real, I'm telling you how key it is to consciousness. There is no other path. Even your boy Thoth knew this, or whoever, the Emerald Tablet. So, like, what are we talking about? You have to learn this. Just, when he says vital breath, he's not talking about, oh, the deep breath. Like, no, man, they're talking about, come on, man. Look. So he says, as the earth shall become fire. So that's the fire, the primordial fire that burns away your mundanity of creation, because it's mundane, it's impure. So they're talking about fire, like damn. So 7a, line 7a says, feed the earth from that which is subtle with the greatest power. See, feed the body with, basically feed the body from that which is subtle. See what he's telling you? He's talking about using his vital breath to generate the subtle powers, the chi. See? But you didn't know this. Nobody's talking about this. The simplest practice, because you think you're supposed to be here, breathing oxygen. That's why. I'm telling you, that's why. Because your mentality. See? Because they're trying to eat. They're not talking about, feed the earth with kale and spinach and carrots. And yeah, I drink smoothies every damn day. But I'm not damn, foolish enough to think that's really it. He doesn't say feed the earth with, what I'm saying, chia seeds. I mean, I take herbs. I drink hella water, herbs, water, fruits and vegetables, see all day. I'm all about it. But come on. That's not my spirituality, consciousness cultivation. That's more, that's it's an assistant. I mean, it's kind of, I wouldn't even call it a foundation, but it's kind of like common sense, right? I mean, come on. But he says, feed the earth from that which is subtle. Feed the body from that which is subtle. Conscious, even you health, everybody's talking about health, but you ain't, come on. He talking about this primordial chi from the subtle with the greatest power. Line 8, he goes on to say, it ascends from the earth to the heaven and becomes ruler over that which is above and that which is below. Damn. See, y'all don't know what he's talking about. Come on. That's basically what man was talking about. You taking over this whole creative evolution thing. Why you want to be a human? Dolph didn't want to be a human. Come on, like a sage. Come on, the human mentality. Come on, especially now. Come on, man. Line 14, because this one goes straight to 14. He wraps it up by saying, I already explained the meaning of the whole of this in my other book. So he's like, man, come on, check out my other shit. So let me run through a couple of these translations. Okay, here's another translation. Now this website you can find is from sacred-text.com. They have like 10 different translations, which is why I'm going through them, because some won't have certain number of lines. This one, because he went over all lines. So line 8, here it says, this ascends from the earth into the sky, and again descends from the sky to the earth, and receives the power and efficacy of things above and of things below. Like I said, I mean, it's so you think just as above, so below. Hell, he trying to get above that. Basically, what they're saying is, like I was saying, these universal laws, they're like just like laws, man. Like it's a cage. Like it's enslaving you. So he's telling you, I'm trying to get above that. They're going for the power, this power, this one, the real one, not this false one, this universe. They're going for that, which is above the as above, so below. So while we down here talking about, oh, shit, as above, so below, they're like, nah, you got to read on, because he's getting above that. But since we still got this religious programming too, you kind of still you're not ready to say, I want to get above this whole thing, because you still worship the universe. You think you're supposed to be here, being a human, in this mud down here, doing, I don't even know, what are we doing? Did you ever ask yourself what are people even doing? Like, no, but seriously, like, what are you doing? If you really ask, they don't know. They don't know. They in the dark. This is darkness. So, basically, he's trying to get above that law. He's trying to take over creative evolution. That's line 8. And Burkhardt, look how Burkhardt describes it. He simplifies it, just says, look, The dissolution of consciousness from all formal coagulations is followed by the crystallization of the spirit, so the active and passive are perfectly united. He's breaking it down. White boy breaking it down. So basically, yeah, that's the consciousness. I mean, you're trying to go above the it's like when they say the mind kills objects, basically. Because right now, like I said, if I give you the keys to a new Ferrari, you're gonna like jump up and nah, that's not cool. Like you enslaved by formal coagulations. Because you see, your mind is all bounded by objects. Like that's not cool. At least to a sage or to somebody who's conscious. I'm going to assume people who conscious will love to expand their consciousness. I'm going to assume that. And I'm trying to let you know these guys do it, how they do it, or what is how do you even do that? See, because we don't know. It's like, okay, how is Thoth? This is still a religion to us because you still don't know what made them them other than them being these gods, basically. That's how you're looking at it. But no, he's talking about the vital breath. He was, these men were humans too, but they seen the fallacy in humanhood. Like, they definitely wasn't holding up the humanship. But let's see, line 9. By this means you will acquire the glory of the whole world, and so will you drive away all shadows and blindness. Because so obviously, those who don't, these people, and you waking up, but come on, blind, like that's not a game. Like, see, they're not playing with that blind thing. Like that's serious. But see, I know people who you think you're conscious, but you really don't know how blind people are. Like, because you still kind of blind too. You just you like when you get blindfolds on, but like the lights out or the sun's out, so you can kind of see through them, but you still got blindfolds on. These motherfuckers got blindfolds on in the dark. So, yeah, you a little ahead, but nah, you ain't there yet. So you would drive away all shadows and blindness. So Burkhardt, breaks it down as thus the light of the spirit becomes constant, and ignorance, deception, uncertainty, doubt, and foolishness will be removed from consciousness. Meaning, that's what you're working with right now. Not constant spirit. Nah, the second part. Ignorance, deception, uncertainty, and that's a big one. Doubt and foolishness, and that's a big one. But basically what he's saying is this is prior consciousness. He's saying this is the human original state. Or at least at that point, that's what he's saying. He says, look, you motherfuckers is ignorant and foolish and uncertain and being deceived, of course, by the visible realm. But basically, the light of the spirit became constant once he underwent this practice or process because it's simple. And that, then he didn't have to deal with that. But you do. You still do because, you haven't broken down the tablets yet. Huh? So, line 10, he says, for this by its fortitude snatches the palm from all other fortitude and power, for it is able to penetrate and subdue everything subtle and everything crude and hard. And also, see, this is just like Lao Tzu. This is just exactly what Lao Tzu talked about. So I'm trying to bridge this because this is why I say you can study the Tao too to get this, because it's no different. Like these guys talk about the same. They damn near probably it's like the same stuff. Like you got to do correspondence. You know what I'm saying? Because this practice is non-denominational. It's non-cultural necessarily. It's just the practice of all those who follow this conscious path, basically. So he breaks down line 10 and says, alchemical fixation is nevertheless more inward. Through its union with the spirit, bodily consciousness itself becomes a fine and penetrating power. The body becomes a spirit and takes on fineness, lightness, extensibility, coloration. The spirit becomes a body and acquires the latter's resistance to fire, immobility, and duration. From both bodies a light substance is born, which precisely takes up a middle position between the two extremes. Like, okay, so basically, see, remember this guy, he studied Sufism. So he quotes a Sufi named Jabir, because actually one of the Sufis did break this down too, and because he knew, I mean, he knows what it's about. But remember, he starts off, alchemical fixation is nevertheless more inward. See, that's the thing. So I don't know, like, if you really want to get into real alchemy, that's what it's about. Like I said, there's always been guys who mistook alchemy for something external. Even in the East, there were guys doing that with minerals and stone, trying to heat up cinnabar stones or whatever. But nah. And why were they doing that? Because they thought they were supposed to be here. Not only that, they wanted to be here forever. You know what I'm saying? Or some of them, they wanted to, try to make a substance they could take that'll make them immortal. See, I mean, because that's what I'm saying. See, it's all about your mentality. So he says, through its union with the spirit, bodily consciousness itself becomes a fine and penetrating power. This is nothing but the primordial chi, the pre-heaven chi. It's all the same stuff. It's all the same stuff. They're telling you, like how to breathe. You got to regain this breathing. That's what it's about. By this means, the world was founded. So the little world is created according to the prototype of the great world. See, here we go again with the as above, so below. Why? You know what I'm saying? Why do they stress this, or why did Thoth stress this? Not only that, how does that apply to real life? Because you can't apply that to your life right now. I mean, you can, but nah, you don't really get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you gotta be honest with yourself. Like, you don't get it yet. Just admit it, and then you can start to get it. Because it's not enough. It's like you gotta watch out. We're doing the same thing. You talk about the white man. You're doing the same thing he does with this thinking you understand. Because you have this it's called an intellectual construct basically, and it's like but you don't really know, or there's not even a word for that, I guess. Because you could, yeah, I do know, yeah, okay, but no, but you don't really, you haven't even experienced this truth, like really, because he's saying the line in the tablet says, by this means the world was founded. See, and then if you read that, you still don't get it, because it's like, what you mean the world? Okay, the world was, okay, the world, like how they started the world, like, nah. He's talking about the little world is created according to the prototype of the great world. See, the metaphor of heaven, earth, and air, they're saying you could recreate this internally. That's what they're saying. We're using the vital breath. That's why as above, so below. That's when it has meaning for you, as in you actually become this shit. Like, you feel it. I mean, see, it's not enough to just be an intellectual or a scholar about it. You sell yourself short. As Burkhardt is breaking it down, like the little world is created according to the prototype of the great world. When the human realizes their original nature is the image of God. And they're using the word God, of course. It's like the origin, 0 point. Original nature. That's all the Buddhists talk about. Original nature. Original nature. See, I'm saying, all this stuff started, it does go back to Lemuria. It's not like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So, line 12 is this marvelous conjunction of it and admirable effects, since this is the way by which these marvels may be brought about. See, these marvels, like what marvels? See, we gotta get, that's what, even my man Panic is just saying, like, come on. Like, we gotta get more scientific minded about this, like, and Bobby was talking about that. It's like, I think a lot of us, too, you're kind of looking for something to worship, and that's cool. You can sit back and spectate, but I'm talking about the people who really, like, try to move things forward. And you really, it's like, because it's always the person in the crowd after the lecture, like, so what do we do next? And this is what you need to get on. This is the only thing you need to do, too. Everything else falls into place. Trust me. And Burkhardt translates that as line 12. This way is traversed by the sages. See? This is the sage way. The way. That's what he says, this way. So the way. That's when you hear the Tao. That's all they're talking about. The way. So you can correspond that right back to Egypt. So there's no confusion. So again, don't ever, you know what I'm saying? Don't skip over no what you think is another culture. Shit, because that I'm telling you, those cats got the science. Especially those Tao, the Tao. Come on, man. They know what they going back to the Tao, the one. That's what Thoth is talking about. That's what he's discussing here. So he goes on to line 13, and it says, "And because of this, they have called me Hermes Trismegistus." Now, this is another translation I just went through. Um, Hermes is basically like when it gets to Greece. And remember about the Greeks, because you can go Google a picture of the Greek Sphinx. I mean, come on, you got to question the Greeks too. Like, take a second look at them guys. But Hermes, so they're just using Hermes here. Thoth, same thing. You know, the reincarnation of Thoth, or just historically, replace him with Thoth. But he says, since I have the three parts of the wisdom and philosophy of the whole universe. And that's, see, everybody heard of Hermes, like three parts of wisdom. It's like, see, that's what I'm saying about the wisdom. The wisdom is actually zero. The 0 point is the wisdom. Like, that's what they're talking about. Like, see, we're not talking about like Benjamin Franklin, you know what I'm saying? Like a penny saved is a penny earned. Like, wisdom. Like, nah. They're talking about like the wisdom of no words. I don't know a lot of people too, it's like, damn, I gotta read all these books, you know what I'm saying? And you actually don't. And I know a lot of scholars might answer you with, yeah, no, you actually don't. Because you're talking about energy that was before even this, thing we call this multiplicity of creation. Energy that was before it and existed within itself. Totally wise. So, like, come on, like, you don't need a book on that. So he says, he breaks it down. The three parts of wisdom correspond to the three great divisions of the universe, namely the spiritual, psychic, and corporeal realms, whose symbols are heaven, air, and earth. And the corporeal is like a body, having a body. So basically, that's like, Trismegistus, three parts of wisdom. What is that about? He's just breaking it down and say that corresponds to spiritual, psychic, and corporeal realms. So another metaphor. And so basically, what you just got in 14 lines of his emerald tablets, basically what it just told you is he entered the embryonic breath, the vital breath, regained consciousness. This energy automatically dispels ignorance, deception, uncertainty, doubt, foolishness from consciousness. It naturally does that over time. I mean, just naturally does. You'll sense it. You'll just know. You'll just feel yourself. You'll change. I mean, you're gonna change. Because basically, like I said, there's this force or this being that's being radiated through your senses. It's like, how do you feed or nourish that? Yeah, like I understand, we get with the diet and everything goes back to vapor and consciousness. Yeah, but even that, since the food and everything is not the root of this being that you are, like, that can't really do it because it's not the root of it. It can influence it, but how do you go back to the root of it? And that's what they talk about. So he tells you again in line 5, that the wind which carries the spiritual germ in its body is the vital breath. The vital breath, the substance between heaven and earth. So this is the energy and breath which is one thing really that need to be cultivated. And just to give some correspondence, because like I said, this is the same thing as basically what people, like Taoism or Tao. Well, see, Taoism is nothing but, like I said, if it was one thing to call it, it's nothing but alchemy. And what is alchemy but investigation and reversal of the breathing process? Basically, that's basically what it is. Just to put it in words, to be more crude about it. Now, that's just, this whole breathing thing just points to something else. I can't even name it. And that's what they're saying about this Tao. You can't name it. But like as Lao Tzu says, darkness within darkness is the mystery. So it's like, it sounds spooky. Like, you don't know what these guys talk about till you know what they talk about. In chapter 10 of Tao Te Ching, which is not really a book chapter, but it's just stanzas or whatever. He says, when one gives undivided attention to the vital breath and brings it to the utmost degree of pliancy, he can become as a tender babe. See, then he goes on to say he has cleansed away the most mysterious sights of his imagination. He can become without a flaw. That's the same thing Thoth just said. And remember, this stuff goes back to the ancients. So, like I was saying, it's all about the vital breath. Like that's all this whole thing is about. So I urge you, especially Kemet heads, to refer to your emerald tablets. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's pretty much the key to it all, the key to consciousness. Which is why he starts off truth, most certain. Like, this is it without a doubt. Like, come on, that's line one, and only like I said, we're stuck on line two. That which is above is like which is below. That which is within is without. It's like okay, like now this is it's like come on, let's not be too human and get caught on cliches and shit. Like you see, and you wonder why these guys are trying to get out of this human state because nah. So definitely check it out. Check out the Emerald Tablets. Take a second look. And like I said, get into this embryonic breathing, vital breath. Just look up anything you can, like, and definitely get the book by Dr. Yang, Embryonic Breathing, from on Amazon. That's basically a good book to start with. But that's just pretty much. And why should you get the book by Dr. Yang? You know, because maybe he's a Chinese guy and he's talking about Taoist and Buddhist texts. So remember, you're not religious, but remember, like I told you, this is science. And you should get it because guess what? Thoth was talking about the vital breath. So now you got no reason to stay away from what you think is, what you would call a foreign culture. Because that's what's holding us back. Well, not me. But I'm just peeping game and like, okay, that's what's holding you back. It's like everybody, you're trying to stick to a culture that you can just visibly identify with, and that's just visibly, which is the first fallacy. You got to look beyond it. You got to do correspondence. You got to. I mean, even these people in Asia, hell, they have melanin too. They have it, but they don't have near as much as you know, melanin dominant people. And you see how? Come on, that's so. Get on it. Take a second look at it. Emerald tablets. Remember, it's all about the vital breath. So that's where you need to direct your studies.